Hi guys, welcome to my improvised presentation on air plants or Tillandsia, which is the genus that air plants belong to. Um, I'm gonna cover what air plants really are, how they grow, their life cycles, how they can be classified, and uh, and then just tell you about my stories with air plants. So without further ado, let's go. So what are air plants? As you can already notice, air plants don't really grow in soil. Some of them have roots, but the roots are not used to absorb water nor nutrients. All this absorption actually take place via their leaves. Their leaves are special in that they have trichome cells, which can absorb water and nutrients, and and normal plants don't actually have that trichome cells, and the trichome cells physiology is very special, and we can do a separate video on how trichome cells actually work, because think about it. If you put water on a plant, it absorbs the water, but the water doesn't actually go away after it's absorbed, so it's a very irreversible process. So that's very interesting. And so air plants, they 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 grow on other surfaces. So their roots are actually for anchoring them to other harder surfaces like wood or stones, and even other plants. I will talk about them later. So air plants like this one, and actually that's true for all air plants, when they will flower after a year or so, and then when they flower, the whole plant, the whole mother plant dies off, and it produces pups right under its base for most of the air plants though. Yeah, and all those pups can then get nutrients from the mother, and then they grow themselves, and then the plants can propagate. Of course, when they flower, the plant can be pollinated by hummingbirds, and that is another way of reproduction. Okay, so how can we classify air plants? We can classify them by color, by their shape, and by their evolutionary lineage. So, see, a lot of air plants you have seen so far are like covered in white material. Those air plants are actually very drought tolerant. Look at how much fur like structure it has on its leaves, and look at that one. One way they tolerate drought is to create a very high humid area, very close to the leaves. Although it's dry outside, but because it has fur, it traps water vapor from being like just evaporating into the air, so it can actually maintain a local area of high humidity. And you also have plants which are kind of green, like this one, Tillandsia fasciculata, and this one, very famous one, Tillandsia bulbosa. It's almost entirely green, and it doesn't like a lot of sun, and it loves to be watered a lot. And look at how its leaves just zigzag around. It's very peculiar but beautiful. And they can also be classified by their shape. Look at that one. This is Tillandsia celeriana, and it has a huge base. And also this one, Tillandsia streptophylla, because it has curly leaves, so strepto. Look at the fat bulb, and they are called pseudobulbous plants. And in their native environment, they associate with ants. So the ants actually live in their bulb, and it's kind of a symbiosis. So in that way, they are called Mamatophytes. So plants that associate with ants. And you also have plants which doesn't have a base. It's more like all the leaves like growing radially out. This one, look how like it's very like the leaves are slender. Yeah, this one is called cacticola, because it grows on cacti actually. It doesn't grow on tree barks nor like rocks. It grows on cacti, so that's pretty exciting. And yeah, and you can also classify air plants by their size. So the one Celeriana that I showed you, it can grow enormously, and and so is Streptophylla, and even this little guy, Elaciana, it can grow to a very large size. And when they flower, they normally produce red or like purple flower spikes that are very attractive to hummingbirds. But I didn't tell you then that there is a subgenus in Tillandsia called Dianthroma, and they are like the miniature variant of Tillandsia. So you have Tillandsia capillaris, which grows on cacti as well. You have Tillandsia retora. Look how the leaves are like very stiff and they curl back. You also have Tillandsia, oh, this is another retora. You also have Tillandsia argentina, which is found in Argentina. It grows on rocks in its native environment. And Tillandsia loliacea. This is probably half the mature size already, while all these other plants, like how small it is, but it can grow to about a feet tall. So, and yeah, I've basically covered the evolutionary lineage. We have pseudobulbous. They probably evolved from the main Tillandsia genus, and they have like bulbs which associate with ants. And you have the traditional Tillandsia like Cacticola, fasciculata, and then you have like the miniature Dianthroma. So yeah, now we can talk about how I got into air plants, my story with them, like what are their like what their idiosyncrasies are. So this one, fasciculata, was actually my first air plant. I bought it about a year ago, and when I bought it, this leaf, the oldest probably leaf on the plant, was actually the youngest leaf when I bought it. So it actually grew all this stuff on its own. When it gets really rainy and sunny in the summer, it grows so much, and as it grows, its leaves actually becomes narrower and narrower, and yeah, when they mature, all the leaves are kind of narrow, and just imagine every single leaf like just radially spreading out, and yeah, in a beautiful base, and then red flowers coming out. Yeah, be very attractive. Another plant I first got was the very popular Tillandsia elnatha. So when it flowers, the leaves turn red at the top, and then it produces the pulp at the base. This is actually the pulp of the mother plant I first got. It didn't actually outgrow its mother plant. It hasn't done that so far. I took it off. It grew kind of slowly, probably due to my bad techniques. Yeah, but yeah, it can be very beautiful, and it can produce a small clump, if you'd say. When the mother plant dies, it produces a lot of pulps, which can become a clump, like this one and this one. But these guys, they produce clumps, produce pulps even without the mother plant dying. So yeah, there is that. And then about half a year ago, I got this cacticola. So they probably has grown this many leaves, and these are the old ones. So yeah, it's quite slender, and yeah, just very beautiful. I also got this Tillandsia caput Medusa. So it's called Medusa's head, because look how wavy the leaves are. Yeah, it's a very nice plant. And then I kind of got crazy into air plants, and then I bought all those plants. But yeah, I can give you a quick naming thing. I'll try. This is Solariana we told you about. This one is Baggery, and this is actually the coalescent form of Tillandsia baggerii, because when it grows, the stems elongate much more pronouncedly than this non-coalescent form. This is Tillandsia xiphoides. So yeah, it's very hard. It's spelled Xiphides, and Streptophylla loliacea in the subgenus Dianthropma. Another Celeriana. Celeriana, look, why you might be wondering why the leaves are like pointing one way, because in its native environment, it doesn't grow like in that way. It grows horizontally on the main trunk of the trees. So it actually grows that way, which accounts for its shape. But it's kind of a wonder how even without growing horizontally, the leaves still curves in one way. So I don't really know. Yeah, I'll see how it turns out. This is Illusiana, as I told you about. This is actually a pseudo-bulbous plant as well, although you can't tell its bulbous base because it's still in its very young form of the plant. This is Tillandsia albida, and it's probably one of the whitest air plant, and it grows bulbs even without flowering. And I don't know if you can notice or not, the bulbs it sort of shoots out of the base. While look at the loliacea, the bulbs are they kind of like they are tightly associated with the mother plant. And similar with albida, we have the, let's just jump down a little bit. We have the Tillandsia tricolor variant melanocaster. It's called melanocaster due to its black shades on its base of the leaves. And this is actually a shoot from a mother plant. Look at how the mother plant shoots out its pups. It might have the advantage to spread its seedlings, or it can prevent rods. I don't know why they do it, or it can just be like some genetic drift stuff. Another Streptophylla. And also look, Streptophylla, when you water it more, the leaves actually just straighten. So this one I watered it quite a lot, and this one its leaves are very curled because I didn't water it that much. And just look at the difference. So the plants are actually responding to the environment. This one here I mounted on the cork, and just to prevent it from falling off, I anchored it to another string. This is Capillaris. It grows on cacti in Argentina, I believe. Sorry, I forgot to talk about where all those air plants come from. They mainly come from Latin America, Central America region. You have some air plants in Florida and Texas, but in the United States. But mainly they've come from Mexico, Argentina, Chile, Ecuador. Sorry, this is not gonna be presentable. This one's kind of hard to pronounce. It's Tillandsia chagnonensis. Yeah, look at how white it is. It's kind of pretty, and it's Tillandsia retora we have shown before, and all this they are from the subgenus Dianthropma. And look at how similar the leaves are shaped. Look, they have sort of a contortion. They're kind of stiff, and and some traits are more pronounced in some species than others. Look at that. They're actually kind of similar if you really look into it. And here's another Dianthropma called Trichopalis. It grows like upside down in its native environment. So yeah, that's why I hang it upside down. And yeah, and then one guy hidden between Cacticola and Caput Medusa is the Schusteri. It can grow to like 15 centimeters in diameter, so you can't really. I don't really know how it grows. What shape it will take in about a year, but it's very amazing. It's kind of like a Cacticola, but it's like more extended, and it doesn't have a pseudobulbous base either. And we skipped this. Skipped this to they're like gemstones. Very lovely. They're called Tillandsia fusci gracilis, commonly known as Tillandsia argentea. So yeah, they grow very slender leaves. I'm not really sure whether you should water them or not, because they're kind of white, so I assume they are drought tolerant, but they have such thin leaves, so I'm kind of worried they might be dehydrated. So I'm just misting them like kind of every 2 days. So yeah. Yeah, we've talked about all this, so that wraps up. I kind of forgot to tell you how to grow air plants, because I told you their leaves take in water and nutrients, but I sort of just skipped that. So mainly you can water them by spraying mist onto the plants, like that. Wait, like that. The camera won't focus, like that. And all these like green plants, they're called mesic. They like moist. They can be sprayed like every day. And all those whiter ones, they are called like xeric air plants. I forgot to put that into the classification section. My bad. Yeah, they prefer a little bit more drought, but they need to be watered from time to time as well. And you can also like spray some fertilizer. You can buy like air plant foods online, and then you spray it, and it gives the air plant some micronutrients like potassium, phosphate, and nitrate, and they also give some like the transition metal like iron, calcium. Yeah, my plant science supervisor is he's gonna be so disappointed. I should be I should be more knowledgeable in this area. So yeah, so most of the plants wants to be well hydrated, especially wants to be well ventilated, my bad, especially for the pseudobulbous plants, because if water gets into their bulbous base, they can cause rotting. And now, like, if you want to water plants not by spraying, but by like dunking the plants into water or leave it overnight, just make sure you clean you fully dry the air plant. And yeah, so you can dunk the air plant when you think the plant is very dehydrated, and just by soaking in water overnight can like just rehydrate it dramatically. What else is there to cover? I'm thinking, is there anything else I should cover? Oh, about what water you should use. Just don't use. It depends on what your tap water is. I think just don't use too hard water. Maybe soft water would be nice, like bottled water would be ideal. And but rainwater would be the best water to use, unless your rainwater is like acidified and stuff like that. Because if you use hot water, the ions, the calcium, magnesium ions in the water can clog up the trichome cells, which I told you about, which prevents them from absorbing more water or nutrients. So that is bad. So it doesn't have an immediate negative effect, but it prevents long-term prosperity, if that makes sense. And maybe one more section on how you display the air plants. So you can display air plants using like a stand, like this one. It's like that. And also you can see So they sort of like the spiral thing just wraps around the plant, and then I also glue them to blue tack to prevent them from toppling over. You can also just put them randomly aside like these guys, and you can also mount them to other surfaces like wood or stones or cork. Yes, and one champagne I had. And also you can get creative. You can mount them onto like cones, like pine cones, and then for this diaphragm that works quite well. And also you can have you can create more space on your windowsill by having just using command strip and a fruit box, plastic fruit box. You can stick them to the window. Because air plants are really light, you might think these plants are heavy, but they're actually lighter than the egg. And you can do them that way, and you can also hand them down, and it's very creative. So that is it. Thanks for listening. I don't know why I'm doing that, but I just love my air plants so much that I want to give a short tour. This is my window.